This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent UK-based HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show.
How about you? Tell me about your world. Enough about me. You're not here to listen. You're not here to listen to me.
No, it's been a good week or so. So had some people come back, someone from the Lumpy Mail, like I said, to write a wellbeing plan for the year, which would be good.
Excellent.
So that would be something more positive to work on, which would be nice. So I'm just
Can you
looking
talk
at
to me
that.
about that process? So, I understand you've sent them Lumpy Mail.
Yeah.
What happened after that? So talk me through
Well,
it.
it is someone I know, so I've worked with them before. So they have a gap in their team for any kind of knowledge in this area. So they've got kind of people who are reward experts, people who are doing training and stuff, but the business wants to do more in the well-being space. So
Okay.
they want to create a plan of both kind of subject matter experts and just different people coming in to do some different topics that are important to them.
1 second. Rather than what you're going to be delivering, which I'm sure is important to you, that's not what I'm asking you about. Let me be clearer. You've sent them Lumpy Mail.
Yeah.
What's happened next? So in terms of they
So
responded to you, or you chased them up?
Yeah. So I contact them mainly through LinkedIn because remember, like we were saying with Andrea before, a lot of these people just aren't available in the day. It's only really at night or very early in the morning when they haven't got a meeting that they're available. So mainly it's through LinkedIn. So we just had a dialogue on LinkedIn of let's put a further call in to chat some more and, discuss how I can help you. And then we had a call on back end of last week when they were traveling home just to try and download on some of the sort of things that they're struggling with and therefore what their needs are. So we had the call and I said, I'll follow up with some thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily a full, massively long proposal, but just in terms of some thoughts on the themes that they can be focusing on. And then we said we'll follow up from there in terms of planning out. Now, the problem that they've got is that it's a reactive environment. Is it going to probably stick for the whole year? Will the shit hit the fan and something else crops up? That's highly likely, frankly, because it's that sort of place. It's a factory and things kick off and then something else diverts to somewhere else. But I think the way I've tried to structure it, Nick, in terms of the proposal is if there's like modules, if I get to work on some of them, then great. It kind of chunks up some of the income, if you see what I mean, rather than making it one big, massive thing, which is all or nothing. I've tried to do it in like modules so that I thought, well, if some of that comes up.
Do you want to share it with me? Have you gone through this with them yet?
No, I haven't got it on me at the moment because I'm on my phone. But yeah, that's the way I thought it could work quite well. And also, if there's times in the year where they're really chaotic and busy, then we can always park that bit and then do another bit later on in the year, if you see what I mean.
Got you.
For example, International Men's Day would be a big time for them. They've got a very male-dominated workforce. That's the back end of the year. So if that is a time when they really want to focus it, that could be really good to make sure that happens.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So in my head, you've sent out your Lumpy Mail, you've followed up with these people on LinkedIn. This one guy has come back to you and said, "Oh, let's talk." Is that right?
Yeah.
And then you've exchanged a few messages, got on the phone with them. to
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
their world. Got you. Okay. And then they've shared where they're at, and you're going to go away and create a proposal and present it to them.
Yes, talk it through with them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, this morning's podcast has gone out, but it's something that, was something that to bring it to life for you before getting on a call with someone. Ideally, we'd know three things, right? We know that we can help them, that we want to help them, and that they're ready and willing to invest. And that one's always a little bit more difficult, because how do you work that one out? But if they've, the way I like to structure that one is when I'm asking them the questions, is I'm steering the conversation towards, are they going to be on the fast lane formula? Are they going to be on the success squad? Or is this a bit more of an ad hoc project? Now, if I know that I'm getting the feeling that it's the success squad, I probably won't bother getting on the phone with them. I'll just say, there's the page, go and invest. Fast lane formula, definitely want to get on the phone with them to understand their world. If I'm getting the feeling that it's an ad hoc project, then I want them to pay for the call.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because if they're not ready and willing to invest, if they're sourcing quotes, if this is something for maybe later on in the year, then it's potentially just a waste of time. Because if they're not ready and willing to invest, then what's the point in having the call, right?
Yeah. I get that. And I know I've obviously seen that a lot in your game plan and everything. Yeah, I guess moving on from that one, there's a couple of other projects which I'm working on, which are potentially quite big reorgs, which will take a good chunk of time in the next 5 months.
Wow, awesome.
So that could be really good. Waiting just to speak with someone later on today about one of them, which would also be very time intensive. So my thinking was that back to that wellbeing one, if I could sort of stagger it whereby some of the work comes later on in the year, it will serve both parties, because A, it spreads their budget because they said some of it isn't available just yet, and B, it helps me out because it'll be me delivering it later on in the year. So it'd work both ways in that sense.
Excellent.
But would I get them to pay for the call? No, because it's an existing contact that I've got who is, I think they want to help me as much as I want to help them in that sense. Do you know what I mean? Because they know my skill set from before. And so I wouldn't want to just say, oh, by the way, this hour call, it wasn't an hour, but half-hour call, I'm going to bill you for it, because I think that would just probably rub them up the wrong way. Do you know what I mean? In that context.
Right.
So, but I think, as I say, it can work both ways, because if I stack the quote that it's more work in the back end of the year, it can help in that context as well, and help that funnel for later on in the year.
Sure. Yeah. Very clever. I like it.
So hopefully the other one comes off and it's some really solid work until then.
Good. Positive news.
Yes. Yeah. And then I'm just rethinking my lead magnets so that it's something really meaty to download rather than just something that's a bit light touch. So I was just downloading Andrea's, actually, just to look at hers and what she offers in terms of her free guide for people. So I was just looking at that for some inspiration. But yeah, I just need to work on that. So that's on my to-do list.
Okay. So just to give you a quick steer, with Andrea, well, let's ignore Andrea for now. Your lead magnet, just make a checklist. Honestly, you just need something that is super valuable for your audience, that gives them a quick result, that they can consume in 2 or 3 minutes, and they get a quick win. They understand they're over here, there's gaps, you're a potential solution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I had done that, and I just thought it looked just a bit brief. I mean, the one I'd done was a reorg checklist and how to deal with empathy and make sure you think of some different things, not just your usual stuff. So I've done that one, and I was just thinking, was that a bit light touch? But yeah, I could do that, obviously.
What do you mean when you say light touch? What is that?
Well, it just
what
looked
are you
a
worried
bit like
about?
2 pages long, and yeah, it was quite, like you say, it was quick to digest. I just wondered if it was a bit not meaty enough to kind of attract people.
Okay. Have you seen my website checklist?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's only 16 points on it, but
Yeah.
the start of it is why this is super important, right? There's a bit of an explanation, there's a bit of a blurb. Then you've got the checklist, again, why that stuff is important. Then you've got, you're HR, I don't need to tell you this stuff. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you've told them. Call them to action. So when you say it's 2 pages, beef it up a little bit. Why is it important that they do the work in the checklist? Why is this stuff important? Give them the checklist. Tell them what you've told them. Call them to action.
Yeah.
You can say along the lines of, listen, if this is something that you're going through and you think you need help, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'll reflect on the right wording for it, and I'm a massive reflector, as you know, so I'll think about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully some good news. Yeah.
Superb. What are you doing about lead gen this week?
Well, I'm gonna see what happens about this big reorg, because, well, there's 2 of them actually, but I'm kind of mindful that if they do come off, and that's some big meaty work, that will be probably 4 to 5 months of solidly working on that. So it's kind of that phasing thing, like when a couple of weeks ago we talked with Rachel about kind of having too much clients and stuff. I'm just trying to not phase it. So it's, for example, I reached out to someone last week and just said, I'm here, I'm based locally. It's a brewery actually down the road. And, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, connected on LinkedIn. And then she came back this week and said, I really urgently need some recruitment help. And now recruitment help is not me. I'm not a recruiter. So I just passed her off to someone I know to say, look, this person's really good. If you want, and I just said to her, if you want help with X, Y, and Z, I'm your person. But for recruitment, I can recommend a really good person. So I've just passed her, because I don't want to fob anyone off and just be someone I'm not. So that was good. But it's just making connections like that, if it's something else, I can help, but not particularly with recruitment. So that was just one example.
Perfect.
But back
Okay.
to your point, I was just thinking about how I stagger it so that it's then, if this work comes off, it's then pipelining for kind of the summer, really.
Yeah. Yeah, so great question. It's kind of a cross that bridge when we come to it, If you're sending out messages and people are coming back and saying, oh, yeah, maybe we need some help, maybe it's further down the line.
Yeah. And then the other thing I thought is, I'd mentioned to you about the insights discovery piece. So I'm getting that sorted now. So once that comes through, which they are painful to chase, frankly, then I'm going to be communicating more about that to say I've got some slots available from, the summer, etc. So let's plan it in and plan the rest of the year, etc. So try and focus on that.
Superb. I like that. Yeah. Going back to my point there about making sure that you're doing your lead gen, I would say don't be worried that you're going to get inundated with work, because I
Yeah.
know that that's basically what you're telling me. If we look between the
I
lines,
don't
but
mean I'm going to be inundated. I just mean I don't want to pee people
yeah,
off if they're like, yeah, I could do with this help now. And then I'm like, okay, well, I've got a few months of I'm solid kind of thing.
sure. I mean, worst case scenario, if that happens, we've got a good network of HR consultants in the success squad. You can white label the work. I'm sure you've got other connections. Again, white label the work. At worst, best case scenario, you can say, listen, I'm booked solid. For now, can we do this then? If they say no, we need it now. White label it. If not, you've got it scheduled in. Take a deposit. You've got your
Yeah.
your diaries maxing. But when we talk about those marketing funnels, do you remember there's 2 or 3% of people are ready to buy now? So at worst, you're going to be contacting people, building up some relationships with them. Maybe you can add them to your mailing list, etc.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think the when the insight stuff comes through, that will be really good to add a different offering as well. Yeah. And there's been a few people who've inquired about that through other networks, so that would be good. Yeah.
Excellent. I like it. I think,
Oh.
yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, right now, while you are quiet, building assets, building relationships, especially if this big reorg doesn't come off, have they, I guess you can share what that piece of work is, how that's come about. But if that doesn't come off, then sitting here and thinking, oh, well, I don't want to do any lead gen just in case this comes off. Because if it doesn't,
Yeah. They've intimated that it will definitely be happening. Obviously,
okay,
things can get pulled at the last minute, but that would be a big TUPE and redundancy program that would be a chunky piece to work on. For a certain period. So forecasted 4 or 5 months. Yeah. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them today and then go from there.
And have they, how's this piece of work come about? Is this one of your network? Is this someone you've reached out to?
This is someone who they referred me on from someone I used to work with. So it's kind of word of mouth through someone else. So that's come about through an old contact, basically. Yeah.
Perfect.
That could be really
and
good.
And then they've DM'd you, rung you? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they emailed me and we set up a call and went through it on Teams and stuff. So yeah.
Superb. Hey.
That could
Sounds
be good.
promising.
Yeah. So that would be a good chunk of work. Yeah. Yeah.
Exciting times.
Yeah. Be good. Yeah. So fingers crossed. And then I've also signed up to a manufacturing summit thing, which is, a bit like when you went to the CIPD thing. Obviously, this is for manufacturing people. So that would be a good place to meet people as well.
100%.
And it's free to attend. So that was good.
Oh, perfect. When is that?
End of the month in Coventry.
Coventry. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do we ensure that you walk away from there with bunches of leads and clients?
Well, I've ordered things like more merchandising in terms of things like a water bottle and stuff to advertise my name and things. I thought about what you said about wearing a t-shirt with my branding on. I'm not sure I can pull this off, Nick.
Don't pull it off. Put it on.
Yeah. So I was thinking about that.
Okay.
Because it could be a way of doing it.
No t-shirt with a QR code saying something eye-catchy or whatever, call me.
Well,
like that.
maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, something like that.
I, you might feel a little bit awkward, right? Is that where the unease
Yeah.
is coming in? Got you. Would you feel more comfortable walking around with a bag of water bottles, handing them out to people after you've spoken to them?
Well, no, I didn't mean that. I meant as in it's just got my branding on. But no, I don't know about handing stuff out. Because I think the other thing is, unless I'm going to have a stand there, which I'm not, but that
No.
presumably cost a fortune anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I was just mainly thinking about just general networking, taking my business cards and things.
Got you. Okay.
What do you think?
I like it. I like the idea of taking the business cards. The only problem is everyone else is going to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So how does Hannah Webb, self-employed, independent HR consultant, stand out from everyone else who's at this conference? How does she get attention? Because, we've all been to these conferences. Everyone is after attention. As you said, there's all these stands everywhere. No one wants to be sold to. So how do we get people to want to contact you, to put their eyes on you and say, okay, Hannah Webb, let's talk. What have you got for me?
Mm. Yeah. It is tricky, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, I signed up recently, so I'm going to give it a bit more thought on how I approach it.
Cool, good, yeah. One suggestion.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Tell him what you're doing, or her. Tell it.
Yeah.
It's not a person. There's no him or her. It doesn't have a sex. Tell it what you're doing, what you want from it. See if it's got any suggestions for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, how do you go about dragging attention? Because we're in, everyone's busy, everyone's doing whatever they're doing. So what is it that you do? Because obviously everyone will have their stands there and they'll be giving out sweets and chocolate and donuts and whatever else.
Yeah.
So that's something you can do.
Mm.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with the t-shirt idea. It's just because you can just walk around and if people are interested, people will, speak to you.
Yeah, or like a tote bag, like the CIPD have tote bags, don't they, and stuff. Maybe order one of them.
Yeah, but it's not going to be blaringly obvious. You're not going to have one of those t-shirts. Oh, one of those t-shirts that does the little light show. You can program it. What about one of them? I saw them in Thailand, 15 years ago or so? You can program them to create any image you want. If you can get one of those, hello. You'd be uncomfortable wearing it, wouldn't you?
Highly uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to think.
Yeah. I mean, cuteness grabs attention. So if you're walking around with a puppy, people would get engaged with you.
Yeah, it probably would. I'll take my dog. She could go mad.
Yeah, do that. Can you take your
Yeah.
children into this conference? I'm sure
No.
they would love running around handing out your business cards, and you could say to them, whoever gives out the most business cards gets a special treat from mummy. They would go crazy handing out business cards, wouldn't they?
No, they wouldn't.
Really?
They'd be like, no, mum, go away.
Damn it.
My 14-year-old son. No.
Yeah. Wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, no, I'll have a think about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
But yeah, certainly this is a great opportunity for you to get in front of your target audience.
Yeah,
and
that's what I thought. Yeah.
to get, so it's great work that you've signed up, that you've found it. Now, how do we monetize it? And one tactic could be to consider, rather than aiming for let's get as many people as possible, it could be quality over quantity. You might want to think about, how do I have a conversation with 5 people? Who are the people that I want to speak to? Really get down into the detail of who it is you want to speak to.
Yeah.
Because then you can just wander around and literally ask someone, are you the factory manager of Kellogg's, or whoever it is? I know it's not Kellogg's, but if you've got 5-10 people in mind, because then that's, it's like having a niche, right? It's having a target market. It makes things less overwhelming. I don't have to speak to everybody. I only need to speak to 5-10 people.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I think it'll be good. I'm just thinking, when they registered, I think they do send you like a delegate list as well. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm conscious of time. You said you've got 2 minutes until your next, whatever it is that you're doing. So in which case, we've got our one-on-one call. So schedule that. Let's go through everything that we've just talked about. Let's make some real plans, and if you do a bit more brainstorming.
Yeah, cool. That'd be good. Okay, Nick. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, have a good rest of the day and catch you soon.
Yeah, thank you. You too. Have a great day. Speak soon.
See you later. Bye-bye.
See you later. Bye.
Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a minute to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes if you haven't done so already. I've been your host, Nick Kaminsky, and if you've got any questions or you want to know more about today's topic, then feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.